What's up, Enduro guys? This is your program for the 6th of January. And because a few of you have asked for warm-ups, I'm going to give you some quick warm-ups before each element or each of the days so that you know how to kind of activate beforehand. As a rule of thumb, if you're a bit older, you should spend more time on the mobility stuff and the warm-ups so that you're nicely activated and you're not going to be in any precarious positions while you're going through the movements, particularly on squats and things with weighted movements. So it's important, like today, that you get your heart rate up first, so maybe a 5-minute steady bike, particularly because of the hips, or a row, which would be great, or a combination of both, and then spend 5 to 10 minutes on mobility through the hips and upper back and shoulders. So that mobility should be quite dynamic, meaning that you're going to be moving the whole time through. So a back step lunge, but with purpose, so you're going to be stretching out, externally rotating your knee, say. Plenty of just air squats, holding positions at the bottom, even going down to the bottom and moving around down there to be opening up ankles as well, which will help on the squat movements. And then moving on, we're going to be doing the squats. So the squats today are going to be banded squats. So as you can see, there's bands attached down here onto these spotter arms. If you don't have access to bands, don't worry. These are just speed squats. The bands are really helpful though, if you can access them, so that then you can be unloaded at the bottom and drive out super hard. So setting up like a regular back squat, bar on your back, nice and stable. You're gonna be squatting between your hips, nice and steady down, drive up hard, nice and steady, drive. So the purpose of this is to stand out at the bottom very fast. So because of the bands, the bar has less weight at the bottom, which allows you to set yourself into a big drive pushing down against the ground. This is going to generate a lot of power and speed through your legs. You're going to do 6 sets of 4. The weight of this should be about 40% on the bar, made up to about 70% of your 3-rep max with the bands. If you don't have bands, go around 65 to 70% of your 3-rep max. Go down steady and then drive up fast, resting 2 minutes in between. So moving on, we're going to do 10 rounds as quickly as you can, but this isn't a race. So it's not a timed workout, quick, quick, quick. This is more positional and a big focus on a nice formed hinge. So formed, nice positioned hinge. So the hinge of the double kettlebell swing, very important that you're locking down with your obliques so that the kettlebells don't own your position. So if you get soft and you start pulling with your back like I'm doing now, you're going to get major back pump. Try very hard to stay nice and tight so that you've got a nice flat back and the kettlebells are going outside of your knees to eye level. So a good tip for these swings, when you're trying to hinge, so a good hingy kettlebell swing, imagine your arm at 90 degrees to your torso, your face is looking forwards towards the kettlebells, then as you go, everything faces the same direction until the back part. So it's a single joint movement, which really focuses on glutes and hamstrings, which is what we want to use for this movement. So once you've done 12 swings, you're then going to take one of those kettlebells in a front rack position, and you're going to do 6 lunges. Once you've done 6 on that side, swap sides, another 6, and then pick up the other kettlebell and start round 2. And it's going to be 10 times round. You will, if you have a little bit of sticky hip and you're not hinging that well, you will get lower back pump. So be careful on the weight. You can alternate between lighter kettlebells for the hinge and a heavier kettlebell for the lunge if you like. If you're not hinging too well and you find that you're extending with your lower back. So stay safe, lock it down, scale the weight to an appropriate weight for your ability. Then the last part of day 1 is going to be a banded rotation like you've done before, but this time a little bit of a twist on it. You're going to have your foot on a step. So the front knee isn't going to be more than 90 degrees. But you're going to lock down with your obliques, which are going to be the activators of this movement. Holding your arms straight out in front of you, down to the rig, and then drive. You're going to do 20 to 30 each side with a rest in between. The position of the band on the rig on your first set will be low. The next set, you're going to be a bit about hip height. So you're coming straight out. And then the set after is going to be higher, so you're pulling down. So it's 3 directions on the pulls, 20 to 30 each side. That's that for day 1. So day 2, warm up. 500-meter row, something around there, opening up the hips, and then some scapular push-ups. So because we're going to be doing some upper body focus, if you take a press-up position, just separating your shoulder blades and moving around here, that should really help open up your shoulders. And then likewise, hop onto a pull-up bar and do a similar kind of thing, only moving your shoulders. It's going to warm that up nicely. And then do 1 set through sub-maximal effort, so not as many as you could, just as a warm-up. Because the movements is going to be 5 rounds of a supinated pull under a bar, as many as you can after the warm-up. So feet on a bench, nicely locked position like an upside down plank. Pull so that your chest hits the bar, as many as you can, and then you're going to flip over and do some ring press-ups. So this is set up here, just so I can show you, but ideally you're going to be closer to the ground for safety, I guess, or if you need to scale down onto your knees. The rings add a little bit of instability, which is going to be good for shoulders and control through the midline too. So both of these movements, if you imagine your core is being activated the whole time, sustaining the position, then it's almost like a plank either side, and then rest 1 to 2 minutes in between, and you're going to do 5 sets. Then you're going to move on to 3 sets of 2,000-meter row with 5 minutes rest in between. Because you've done the 5,000-meter test, you want to be looking at knocking off round about 5 seconds per 500 of that pace, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. And then rest 5 minutes, repeat. So you're going to do 3 sets of that. And that's that for day 2. So day 3, we're going to be doing part A is almost like a warm-up. So just a general warm-up for day 3. So just 5 minutes on the bike, getting the heart rate up again. And then we're going to move into some really good functional movement through the hip. So if on day 1 you struggled with the hinge through the kettlebell swings, then this is a good chance to try with less weight. So you're going to go on the minute every minute for 14 minutes. So that's 7 times round. The first one is going to be a banded jumping good morning, which sounds a lot, kind of is. So from there, all about the hinge. So a good morning position, if you've ever done one. Zoom out a bit. A good morning is basically a hinge, like a deadlift, but the weight's on your back here. So that hinge, you're then going to put some power through, turn it into a jump, land straight back down to the bottom. You're going to do that on minute 1, say about 12 reps. And then on minute 2, you're going to do 20 to 30 Russian twists. Probably with a 10 kilo plate. It's important on the twists that you have your heels off the ground, so your core is activated the whole time, and try not to hit the ground with the plate. Alternate between the two for the full 14 minutes. And that banded good morning, I should have mentioned before, if you don't have access to bands, then you can do that with a barbell. Just be very careful that as you jump with it, the bar's not going to come off and crash back down onto your shoulder. And then B, this is a great workout. It's going to be 4 minutes. So within a 4-minute window, you're going to do 3 rounds of 5 calories. Today we've got ski erg. So you're going to go pretty hard, 5 calories, as quick as you can. 5 burpees. 3 times round in a 4-minute window. Once you've finished that, you then rest for the remaining time of the 4 minutes, and then go again with another 4-minute window, and you're going to do 6 and 6, 3 times round, then 7 and 7, 3 times round. And you're going to go a minimum of 20 minutes, which is 5 rounds, which means you would complete the 9s. If you can't do the 9s, then just strip it back and start back at the 5s. And that's that for day 3. Day 4 is simply a recovery mobility day. So set a timer for 40 minutes or more, spend 2 minutes on some steady state cardio, then hop off and do a full 2 minutes on one particular stretch. So it might be a banded distraction on your hip. Spend 2 minutes on your left hip and get back onto that steady state cardio, spend 2 minutes on the other hip and work your way up from ankles, hips, probably mid-back, shoulders, and spend that time dedicated 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off between the cardio and the mobility. If you can add additional work and you're not on the bike at all, then you can probably do a 40-minute steady state cardio session, but try not to absolutely blast it. So priority now is to be getting this functional movement in these time domains. This is a general week, so this general week's then going to progress with the movements in, a little bit more speed work, very, very specifically. So important that you trust in the program and you don't overdo it with additional work. And that's that for this week. So as always, any questions, email them over or send them via Instagram or Facebook message. That seems to be the quickest way that I can respond. And happy gymming, happy riding. See you next week. Peace.